You know how I said that Fury 325 was the second most insane roller coaster I've ridden? Well, the most insane coaster I've ridden is Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This ride is just straight up crazy, and there isn't many other words you could use to describe it. Today, I'll review King's Dominion's Intimidator coaster. Just walking up to this ride shows you why it's called Intimidator. The giant structure stands tall in front of you, and the trains whiz past the entrance plaza at blazing fast speeds. After hearing about this roller coaster for the past 8 years of my life, this was definitely one of the roller coasters that I have wanted to ride the most, and I was super excited to ride this because my trip to King's Dominion was basically spontaneous. You board the train and head up the 305-foot tall lift hill. There isn't really much to look at other than the rest of the park and some fields, so this definitely wasn't the most stunning view on a roller coaster. But that doesn't really matter because with the cable lift, you don't really have much time to take in the ride's view anyway. The cable lift kind of feels like a launch, and I'm sure it has faster acceleration than the Helix at Liseberg. You crest over the top, and next thing you know, you're falling down the 300-foot drop. This isn't the best drop I've been on, but it's still very good. In the front row, the view down the drop and sense of speed at the bottom is crazy. In the back, you get good floater airtime down the drop. I can't really speak on the other rows because my 6 rides were either in the front or the back. My only issue with this drop is that it doesn't feel like it lasts very long, like Theory 325 or Orion's drop. It would be nice if it did, but in my opinion it's just a minor issue. The first low to the ground turn is just insane. Not only is the sense of speed and wind in your ears crazy in the front row, but the positive G's you experience are unmatched. By the time you start heading up into the first airtime hill, your vision starts to fade and soon enough you can almost see nothing. It's all just very chaotic. But by the time you're going over the top of the airtime hill, you regain your vision and experience solid floater airtime in the front rows and better floater airtime in the back rows. You gain back all your speed as you head into the next low to the ground turn. And this next element is probably my favorite on the ride, but I'm not sure. It's the quick transition into a bunny hill and transitions back into low to the ground high speed turn. This hill is just insane. With the whip of the transitions and ejector airtime of the hill, this makes for one of my favorite elements of all time. The next low to the ground turn you take at high speed, and it offers great sense of speed and positive G-forces. The next element is also one of my favorites ever. The crazy fast transition offers insane whip and ejector airtime throughout the train, and you experience another one after 2 more high speed turns, and provides just as much whip and ejector airtime as the last. After yet another high speed turn that provides good positive Gs, you go over a trimmed airtime hill, and you can really feel the trim break. In the front, you get no airtime. In the back, you do get solid floater airtime. You climb up another hill providing no airtime, and then you will quickly snap to the right, and then you enter another crazy transition. This one is a little bit more crazy than the other ones, and I can't even imagine how good this would be without the trim brake. After another turn, you climb up into the brake one with one more snap, which gives good whip and ejector airtime. Overall, Intimidator 305 has a pretty good layout. It's not crazy or anything, but I love fast transitions and high forces, and Intimidator 305 is one of the best coasters for both of those things. And it also has decent length and duration, so I think it's a good layout. So let's jump into the categories of this ride. The first one will be forces. It doesn't have the best airtime or the most airtime on a roller coaster, however, it has some awesome moments of ejector and floater airtime. As for positive G-forces, Intimidator 305 is definitely one of, if not the best ride in the world for it. There isn't a ride that causes me to almost completely lose my vision every time except Intimidator 305. Intimidator also has some of the best laterals experience because of its rapid transitions. Intimidator 305 gets a 10 out of 10. The next category is going to be height. I love when roller coasters stay low to the ground because I love when rides maintain their speed, and Intimidator does that very well. It has 2 big hills and the rest is low to the ground and fast. Intimidator gets a 9 out of 10 because I think they could have been one more big element, but it's just a minor complaint and I don't really care. The next is speed and pacing. This is one of the best rides I've ridden for speed. Not only is it blazing fast at 90 miles an hour, but it also keeps the speed for pretty much all of the ride. The only time where it could have been better is after that trim, however, it still has some decent speed after that, so Intimidator gets a 9.5 out of 10. The next category is smoothness. In the front row, Intimidator is basically as smooth as a ride can get. It's not very shaky at all and doesn't give you a headache or anything like that. In the back, there's a little more of a rattle, but you don't notice it very much. However, for some reason when you come off the ride, you have a headache. It's a bit annoying when you're trying to lap it, but it's not too severe and it usually goes away in a couple of minutes. Intimidator 305 gets an 8 out of 10. The next section is trains and restraints. The trains are pretty comfortable on this ride, and they're basically the same as Maverick or King Ka. If you're under 6 feet, these restraints probably won't bother you too much. But if you're 6 feet and over like me, they kind of cut into your shoulders and it's a little bit uncomfortable. It's not a huge deal though, just a bit annoying. Also, from my experience, it's basically impossible to not get stapled on this ride, so if you want room, you can just forget about it. Intimidator 305 gets a 6.5 out of 10. The last I'm going to rank is the length of the ride and its duration. Intimidator 305 could definitely be longer. It doesn't feel like the longest ride in the world. However, that being said, it doesn't bother me too much because not only was I very satisfied when I slid into the brake run, but this ride could almost be a little too much for me at points, and if it went on for a lot longer, then I'd probably just be tired out and want to stop. Intimidator 305 gets an 8 out of 10. Intimidator 305's score averages out to an 8.5 out of 10, but my personal score is going to be a 10 out of 10. This roller coaster is definitely elite, and it finds a spot in my personal top 5 roller coasters. It's the best roller coaster at Kings Dominion in my opinion, although the second best is close. Other than that, I don't have much to say, so that's going to wrap up this video. Have a good day and go Chiefs.